And right. Well, that's a euphemism for like an older guy. Um, and
Closer to death than me, probably.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes. Probably. We never know, but and you know, I've having grown up with older people, you know, tried to avoid a lot of the crap that older people tend to do. You know, the like, well, in my day it was, you know, things were much harder, or you know, music was better in my day, or kids these days. Like, you know, I try to avoid those kinds of like typical, stereotypical, like old man
Of course,
things,
you gotta
right?
move with times.
Exactly. Right. I think I'm relatively with it.
You're hip.
I'm hip. Uh, as people still say that, I don't know. And so I have not. I've been open, right, like to all these like movie reboots and remakes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Either you know, I watch it and don't like it, whatever. Like it, great. Or I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like I don't think about, you know, that the most recent Superman movies, say, like,
Yeah.
haven't lived up. I haven't liked them personally as much as the like old 80s Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
But I would never go so far as to say like, well, the new ones are crap, or you know, like this shit
The new
sucks.
ones
I
have
would say
been
it's
kind of
personal.
shitty. A lot of the
Well,
new
right,
ones
that was
have
a
been
bad
kind of shitty,
example.
but that's not because of it's not because they don't live up to the old ones.
Right. This is a long way of saying that uh I've been seeing ads for this like Roadhouse remake, and
I've
I'm
heard it's
fucking
really
pissed.
good. No, I've heard it's
Really?
really good. I heard
Oh
that it's really good. I
no.
heard that Conor McGregor gives like an insane
Oh,
coked out performance as the villain. I've never seen Roadhouse. I've only seen the reference
see,
to Roadhouse on an episode of Family Guy.
right.
Uh,
See, I think that might be um like obviously I've seen the original numerous times, and it almost instantly earned a place in my heart as like uh kind of like a sort of shitty movie that was also like kind of fun and goofy, right?
that was a big part of that was like Patrick Swayze's whole oeuvre. Rest in peace, right? Like, like it's not groundbreaking
Right.
to say that Patrick Swayze wasn't mostly known for like his art films.
I think that's fair. I think he did. It does.
Everybody did, but like,
I'm not getting into his filmography,
he's
but
known for fucking people as a ghost.
right, and probably
Point
Point
Break,
Break. Yeah,
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 and Roadhouse, and The
right.
Outsiders, I guess.
So the Roadhouse, so the original Roadhouse, to me, like, I, it was just such a movie of its time that like it was just preposterous all around. Like the idea, first of all, that there is a famous bouncer.
A
Like, are there
world famous.
famous
Wait, is that the
bouncer?
plot? He is a world famous bouncer. Wait, is he regionally famous or world famous? Because you could
No,
be a
like people
regionally
know who
famous.
he is.
Okay,
No,
if you are in a
but
small enough town, you could be a locally famous bouncer.
he is, but it is not. It's like, I wouldn't say world famous, but United States.
All right, at the
Like,
very
like,
least,
yeah,
interstate.
yeah. Well,
That's
just
fucking insane.
it just came across that people, everyone was like, Dalton's here. Like, that's ridiculous.
I'm sorry. His name was Dalton.
Right.
A world
I
famous
think in the
bouncer
new
named
one,
Dalton.
I think in the new one, his name's still Dalton. I think the first name's different. I don't remember the first name, but their last name's Dalton.
Dalton is not the name of someone who's feared because of his tough bouncer abilities. It's the name of someone who's feared because his dad will sue.
Right. Maybe that's how he got his start. He was a nepo baby in the bouncing world. But there's that too. Within the movie, like again, as you said, Patrick Swayze definitely had a type. He was like a super tough fighter, but he fought using Tai Chi, and he was kind of a Buddhist. So he was one of these like, I don't want to have to do
it's
this.
kind of preempting the kind of preempting Steven Seagal, right? Because Steven Seagal,
Yes, exactly.
like obviously a lot of
Right.
his movies were Aikido movies. Obviously, the difference is Steven Seagal like presented himself as real in a way that Patrick Swayze
Hmm.
did not. But
Right.
Seagal's whole thing was like, I'm just doing Aikido, woo woo, redirect people. That's interesting.
Yeah. It very much get, and maybe it's me, and I'll wrap this up so we can get started. Maybe it's just
No,
me, but
maybe we can talk about the Elks Lodge more.
I personally have an affinity for like the uh what the like wandering hero trope,
Right.
where someone like drifter through town and all the biker gangs fucking with the, I don't know, old folks home, and so he beats them up, or that's very much what like Roadhouse was. He
Yeah, the
didn't
thing
want to
is,
fight, and but he could, and
you can only bounce in one place, right? Because you can be a bouncer at the bar that hires you to be a bouncer, and even then, really only
right,
at a limited part of the bar. After that, it is just
right,
assault. You can't be a bouncer on the
exactly.
road. You can
That's
be a
true.
bodyguard,
That's
but
true.
once you leave, but bouncers, it's like being a ghost haunting a house, right? Like once you
Oh,
leave, it
that's a
is
good
just a
point.
crime.
No, you're right. No, that is a good point. Like you can't just independently be a bouncer. I
That's true.
can't
Yeah,
just
I
be
can't be like a freelance bouncer.
right. I can't just be throwing people out of Applebee's or like getting in fights at Tire Zone or whatever. um, no, but
the
and
first
maybe
the
like
first tire zone bouncer.
right, and uh, and it also like it was super cheesy and had like some really super cheesy quotable lines that like I still to this day will say. Um, but maybe the new one's great. I don't know. It just to me doesn't have the same vibe, and
Yeah.
I think the original one was like such a great example of what they were trying to do. Like, how could you? I just feel like why bother remaking it?
That's a good point. But they remade Point Break, and Point Break was actually a perfect Patrick Swayze movie, right? And they remade that, and it
No,
was like
you're right.
fucking atrocious.
Well, yeah, I didn't. You're right. I didn't see that one. I just figured it would be. But it's all yeah. No, I guess you're right. I don't know why Roadhouse bothers me more. I guess Roadhouse like spoke more to me
And
than Point
well,
Break. That
isn't it crazy? Roadhouse, great title for an action movie. But you think about synonyms.
exactly
You call that same movie Mobile Home, and
right.
no one wants to watch the fucking thing. Uh, anyway,
That was
Sorry, what were you gonna
no,
say?
no. That would actually that sounds like a great horror movie title
Mobile
instead
Home.
of Mobile Home. I don't know. That's what
Because you think you
pops in my
escape the
head.
haunted house and then you buy a new house and it's just parked in the
Right.
driveway of your new
God damn
house. Oh my god.
it. Right.
This is brilliant.
Right. Not only is the house still possessed, but the plumbing absolutely sucks and the walls are made out of Kleenex.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, speaking of reboots, folks, I don't think we're going to get one in 30, 40, 50 years. I don't think there's going to be any way to recapture this magic. Welcome
No.
to Underworld
No.
News tonight. I'm
Mhm.
Andrew Michaels. I'm joined by my co-host, author of the controversial business self-help book Just Use Child Labor, Jason Strong.
Mhm. Yeah, howdy. Howdy. Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, why don't you tell them a little about what we do here?
Uh, well, we cover the weird, wacky, and wild
Make sure that you
news of
tell
the
them that we're
week,
going to be at Squonkapalooza in Johnstown,
and
Pennsylvania on August 10th
and
as sponsors.
yes, and we have sponsored or we've sponsored. We're a sponsor for Squonkapalooza, Johnstown, Pennsylvania,
We don't need to
August
be
10th.
humble, Jason. We can say it. We
No,
are the sponsors. It is we left a
well,
generous
yeah,
bequest of
uh-huh,
$1.2 billion, and all we
right,
asked for was a single booth to entertain you guys at.
right. No, yeah, yep,
Jason said do it anonymously. I said give me the fucking credit.
yeah. We each had to sell most of our organs to raise the money,
Yeah,
And if I'm being honest,
I
a few other people's organs.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kept a kidney. I kind of
No,
turns out you can
I
give
had a
them a
feeling.
wet bag at the black market organ handoff, and they don't really
They
check it
don't
a lot
really,
of the time.
yeah,
Yeah, I was just
man.
giving them like raw beef and Gatorade.
Fuck it, man. If hindsight is 2020, I wouldn't be in dialysis right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I think your vision is fading by the day. There's a video
All
I
right.
saw on
Yep.
TikTok today that we can't even talk about because I saw it this fucking morning while I was taking a shit of a
Yeah.
woman. Somebody's gonna know what I'm talking about. It's not that this person's a woman. I realized I paused right after I said of a woman, as if that's the problem. Women should be allowed on TikTok.
Okay.
No, it's this woman. She fucking like went on like this hippie retreat and did ayahuasca allegedly, and she wrote a
Hmm.
reggae song about it. She's Caucasian like us, of course. Probably
Sure.
more Caucasian than us somehow. And
Hmm.
she's going through this whole thing. She's talking about how she did shrooms and connected to aliens and fucking like we time travel with pyramids and shit, all shit that we talk about, whatever. And it's like,
Sure.
okay,
Sure.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And then she's just going through the list, and then she just drops in a line where she just goes, kidney infection, I healed that too. And then she moves on to the next shit. And you're like, whoa, 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 ma'am.
Yeah.
So I don't have time to do a full update on this shit, but I just need
All
our
right.
listeners to know that this has been running through my mind today.
All right. Well, keep us posted, I guess, if you hear anything.
Anyway, Jason, can you help me think
Okay.
about something else, please?
Yes. We did the intro shit, right? The
Yeah.
Weird Wacky Wild, Johnstown,
Weird,
Pennsylvania,
wacky, wild news of the
Squonkapalooza.
week. Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Squonkapalooza, the $1.2 billion bequest. You can
Right. No.
apparently
Okay. I
kill
think
kidney
yeah,
infections with your
don't
mind.
yeah, okay, nope. See, now we're right back there. No,
Okay.
no, we should have stopped. You went too far. Um
All right.
the
Jesus.
okay, yeah, we're that's all out of the way. So we can jump into our first story.
Exactly. What is it? Fucking Philip DeFranco says back when I was watching that show in high school. Jump into it. I don't know. I want him
Yeah,
to fucking sue us. I think that guy's got to be like a billionaire by now.
he thinks so.
Yeah, he has
Okay.
Shark Week money from 2009.
Oh shit, man. I'll bet he could sponsor 2 booths at Squonkapalooza.
That's true.
All right. This first story. This comes to us from the singular Fortean Society.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
You know,
so this is
I
this
think
is
most members of the Fortean Society are singular.
yes. I think that's fair. Yeah, so this is sort of like the grandpappy of what paranormal news, paranormal
Yeah,
investigation.
how would you describe like the Fortean thing?
Man, I mean it
It's
was
hard to put it in
like a
words.
magazine for like yeah, it's sort of what maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking something some sort of hippie-ish, but
It was pretty hippie-ish. It was very like
paranormally
old. It was like an old-timey like pseudoscientific approach, but their whole thing was like we're going to try to take a little bit more from the scientific world and accept naturalistic explanations,
right,
but
right,
not
right,
rule out the supernatural explanations.
right, right. But
So
they've
they
been
get
around
into a lot of
forever.
like
Yeah.
collective psychic phenomena
Hmm.
and stuff like that
Yeah,
that we end up
exactly
talking
so.
about as well.
Yeah. Well, here's one more of their stories we're going to be talking about. Um, headline. This comes to us from Tobias and Emily Wayland
Of
of the
course, there's a Tobias.
uh-huh. Oh, you would hope so.
Yeah, there's got to be at least one Tobias in the Fortean
Yeah,
Society.
you would absolutely hope so. Uh, family in Zimbabwe reportedly terrorized by invisible goblins. Um, yeah.
How do you
So
know it's a goblin?
if it's invisible,
Yeah, because
right?
I feel like goblins is based on the look, right?
Yes. Um, and we'll get into it here in a sec. But the article, features illustrations, and it's very much like European, sort of the stereotypical like European goblin.
Right.
Sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons adjacent.
Yeah,
Which
the
I'm
anti-short propaganda that's been plaguing this
right,
fucking country for a long
right,
time, and I'm fucking
hmm
sick of it. Talk about the
right,
fucking bugbears. Talk about the fucking
right.
trolls. Don't blame the
hmm
goblins who work
Ogres,
hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
gnolls, yeah. But no, it's just like this is Zimbabwe, so I have to imagine the goblins there would at minimum dress differently, right? They wouldn't be
True.
wearing these sort of like medieval peasant European peasant garb.
I
Uh,
don't know. I mean, what do we know about Zimbabwe fashion?
oh, I suppose you're right. No,
Right? You
thank
want to
you.
talk shit
Yeah,
about like what's cool in Zimbabwe? I
right.
I don't know what the Zimbabwe Zoomers are wearing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't really follow Zimbabwe Twitter.
I mean, I know we're like we've established we're huge in Algeria right now. We are
Yes,
hot in
yes.
Algeria, so I think
hmm
that once we get
Right.
that Zimbabwe listenership, you making these sorts of ignorant comments about the fashion is going to be a problem.
Now, were I an asshole, I would ask you uh, to describe where Zimbabwe is in relation to Algeria and Africa.
Yeah,
But I'm
Algeria is
not.
North Africa and
So,
Zimbabwe is not. Algeria is North Africa, Zimbabwe is not. I know that shit. You
yeah.
can't fucking get past me, Jason. Not today. I'm took his Adderall at
Right.
3 p.m. man today. You can't fuck with me.
Yeah, on point. This family, the family from uh, Magwegwe North in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, claimed recently they're under
Sounds
siege by a
about
troop.
right.
Yeah, troop of invisible goblins. Three
Hmm.
the family, three children aged 13, 12, and 8, along with elderly grandparents. Strange incidents have continually escalated uh, since they began last November, including unexplained noises in the walls, objects vanishing, doors and windows moving on their own, flickering lights, food disappearing, typical. Uh, and the children being physically assaulted. Um, what really sparked their concern is they woke up to find the children's heads had all been shaved,
That's not good. It's a
and
little funny. It is a little funny, actually. Yeah,
it
that
is
explains the
kind
goblin
of,
thing. That is goblin
yeah,
behavior. Wouldn't it be
exactly,
funny if one of the kids beat the shit out of a goblin? Like, one of the kids just beat the fuck out of one of these goblins, you know?
yeah,
I mean, I feel
yeah.
like that. How do I
No,
think
that
about
would
that?
be,
Just
yeah,
like,
right,
especially like a
yeah,
7-year-old just beats the fuck out of like a 42-year-old goblin.
right.
Ah, ah.
um, they sought spiritual assistance, but that only made things worse. Sought help from different prophets and churches. Situation only worsened.
Yeah,
Doors and
I'm
yeah.
surprised none of these fucking
Huh.
prophets helped. Usually they're very helpful.
No, they yeah, that's what doors and windows go open and
The
close.
thing is, here's the
Uh
problem with that. Sorry, you ask these prophets for help. They're gonna
yeah,
ask for money, right? Like usually that's the whole thing is you ask these
probably.
prophets for help.
Yeah,
And I don't mean
right.
stereotype here, but you live in Zimbabwe.
Right. Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
you're like, yeah, I don't think you have like cult leader assistance money there.
Oh, no. No. No, I get your point. Yeah, I think this is yeah, much more of a being like a prophet in Zimbabwe is as a much more like working class position, right? Than
Oh, okay, working class prophet like Super Mario.
exactly. Yes, yes, exactly like Super Mario.
Perfect.
um, kids' clothes, especially their school uniforms, were torn, so they couldn't go to school. Actually, now that I'm reading
All
this,
right,
I'm
yeah, no,
seeing
no,
that
this is the
of a
fucking kid.
trend.
That immediately, we have solved this one. We fucking solved this shit. Mystery solved.
Right. Um, hired a spiritual healer for a cleansing ceremony. The following day, the house burnt down.
All right, these kids are
Uh,
taking it too far.
everything in the kitchen and dining room was untouched, but the bedrooms all burnt down. Um, this is not the first goblin attack. It says goblin attacks are reported with surprising frequency in Zimbabwe. There was one in 2019. Uh, a local prophet, and this time prophets in quotes, as if
Okay.
right, claimed
That's
goblins
got to
were
be really bad because you said it's more of a working class profession. Imagine seeing in quotes like a local quote unquote plumber,
right, like he didn't, yeah,
local
right,
quote unquote McDonald's drive-through employee.
right, yeah. Um, he claimed that goblins were to blame for a string of deaths that took 10 members from a single family in Nyanga, Zimbabwe
Okay,
in
I'm sorry. So
2018.
this guy killed that family, right?
That's maybe what the article is leading us to believe.
Right. Yeah. Or at the very least, not
Or
helpful in solving the situation.
right, right. Um,
Unless, all right, hear me out though. If
mhm,
goblins can murder, right?
sure.
And forgive me if this is in poor taste. The goblins kill Kennedy?
I was just about to ask that. Right, like we can't. How could we be
I'm just
sure?
asking questions.
Yeah.
We can. That's what I'm saying. I think that honestly, we should do something live in Dallas to investigate a little further. There
Okay.
are two times
No, I
because
think
there's
you're right.
two crime scenes that I think we need to investigate that I do think the goblins are responsible for. Number one, we
Okay.
need to go to Dallas. Dallas, look at what was it, Dealey Plaza, see what
Uh huh.
happened
Deli plug.
there,
Yeah.
where Kennedy got
Uh huh.
shot, got quote
Right.
unquote shot, or
Uh
maybe
huh.
ripped apart like the Tasmanian devil by a goblin. Who's to say?
Could be. Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
Number two, and I can't believe no one will say this before. I think someone needs to go to Graceland and take another look at Elvis's toilet.
Uh, I think Graceland's not in Texas. It's not in
No, we'd have to
Dallas.
go to Tennessee
Oh,
afterwards.
I see. I'm sorry. Gotcha.
It's
Gotcha.
it this is it,
Uh,
this is a road trip.
road trip. No. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm on board. I'll go look at
Yeah,
Elvis's toilet, and as the article continues, you're not. You might be onto something, with goblins worldwide. Incidents aren't specific to Zimbabwe.
of course that would be
19.
really weird if they were specifically going after Zimbabwe because that's a very modern border.
Well,
This
right.
is for our
Um,
Africa historian audience. That's a joke for them.
yeah. Uh, in as far back as 1955, several witnesses in West Virginia, the farmhouse they were in was assaulted by quote little gray men with big heads and long arms. Uh,
Sounds like
oh, wait a
UFO
minute. Sounds like a
activity.
gray. It does
So, well,
actually.
no. The Greys are tall and the Greys are very sadistic. If they saw the Greys, they'd be much more fucked up.
They
Painful
do sort of.
erections that last 6 months. Did
Yeah.
any of them have painful erection that lasted months on end?
It doesn't. No,
That's
it
not a
doesn't say.
gray. That's not a gray. If they don't do anything to your
Okay,
butt or your peen, it's not a gray.
it's
And
not a
but
gray.
I do believe if
Got
you
it.
can't trust someone from West Virginia in 1955, who can you trust?
Exactly. Uh, yeah. So this West Virginian goblin became known as the Kelly Hopkinsville man
You
Kelly
good?
Hopkinsville
You were getting through all this
goblins.
Zimbabwe stuff fine, and then
I
it's Kelly
know.
Hopkinsville.
It's the S I think that's throwing me. If it was Hopkinsville, see, I can do that. Hopkinsville. Okay, Hopkinsville. Got it. Um, yeah.
Man,
There's been, these attacks bear resemblance to those associated with a variety of fairies. I know I've been talking about fairies a little bit recently, but like boggarts and bogies, uh, Those are types of fairies that are known to be this malicious and directly attack people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, here's one in from Colombia in 2022. 11 teens, ranging from 13 to 17 years old, found by teachers after having collapsed in a hallway at the Agricultural
Hmm.
Technical Institute in Hato, Colombia, following an incident in which they had reportedly used a Ouija board.
You gotta don't whip out the Ouija board. You don't need to do that. At the
There's
very least, is even if it doesn't do anything, it's gonna be an annoying fucking night.
right. 2019 in Ghana, 20 girls were found collapsed due to the presence of a ghost. I don't know. It doesn't say how they know it was a ghost.
Hmm. That is interesting.
20,
Yeah, why are
20. And now, wait, why did they switch from goblins to ghosts?
yeah, just because the goblins are invisible, we're trying to get them into ghost territory too? That's totally fucking irrelevant. Did the goblins are the goblins shaving
okay.
kids' heads, or are they killing a family of 10? These are very different levels of mischief. That's the other thing.
Well, I think the contention is that there's different varieties of these creatures, like goblin being sort
Right.
of a catch-all, but they could be boggarts or bogies, and they could have potentially different MOs. Some may be more mischievous, and some may be more murderous.
Man, I'll tell you one thing. I get mischievous after smoking a bogey.
Zing! Wow.
Thank you. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
No, that was pretty good. Thank you. Um, Oh, they equate them. They go from goblins to ghosts in the article because the sort of like attack patterns are similar between fairies and ghosts and poltergeists. So what the argument is like this could all be goblin activity that was previously attributed to ghosts,
So,
or vice
I feel like
versa.
it was goblins first, right? Goblins before ghosts. It was like goblins, then it was ghosts, then it was it. Now they're going back to goblins, right? It seems like
Oh, like
ghosts.
historically, like we start like ghosts
Yeah, I don't
are
know
a little
why
bit
we're
more
going back
recent.
to the goblins. It seems like the goblins is a big step back here.
You think so? I think, yeah. But I guess okay. I guess if you sort of remove, I think there's an inherent idea in like fairy or goblin of some sort of magical element.
Mm-hmm.
Is that unfair?
Yeah,
if
and
you're
ghosts.
right, and ghosts. But if you remove the magical quote magical element, like just that there are these little monster men, that run around in sort of lightly populated areas and harass/murder people,
Mhm.
that puts it more in Bigfoot territory,
Well, it puts it in
right?
UFO territory as well. It
Right,
puts it
which does
into
seem,
alien
yeah,
territory, and that gets into what we were talking about last week on the episode with the preacher
right,
who was talking about the Merkaba,
right,
right?
right. Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that like it's if anything, like in a certain light, it could be even more plausible than ghosts. Because believing in ghosts implies like a lot of metaphysical, like it implies a very different sort of way reality works, right? Like there's an afterworld, there's you can be here but not here kind of thing. Whereas if you believe in Bigfoot, like you just believe there's a hidden monster, there's a big ape hidden somewhere, which doesn't
Yeah.
imply all this other crap. So you could
Well, yeah,
believe
I mean, it's like I said, there could
that
be a big monkey out there. But then again, when we've talked about the interdimensional hypothesis and we've looked at a number
yes,
of,
yeah, uh-huh,
not all of the Bigfoot's accounts we looked at, but a number of them where they report weird things like headaches, metallic smell, stuff like that, where it is in
right.
line with these other experiences where
Consistent
people
with
feel that their natural reality was broken.
Right. But I guess I'm saying it would then be equally plausible that there are goblins out running around. But maybe like because they interact with humans a little more, there became this sort of superstition or folklore around them. Right. Which is why we think of them as magical, and we don't necessarily
I
think
see what
of
you're
Bigfoot
saying.
as magical. But both could like what they are and what they do can be just completely in line with our understanding of like how the universe works. They're
That's
physical
true.
material monsters or
And by
creatures.
by definition, once something exists, it's not magic, right? If magic is real, then there are rules to how it works. In which case, it just needs to be incorporated into our understanding of the universe, right? Like, so if goblins are
Oh,
real, UFOs, whatever, right? Like,
uh-huh.
it becomes incorporated into its understanding. Definitionally, like, even something major, like if it turned out some crazy form of magic is real, it would eventually be a question of how do you incorporate that into our broader understanding of things. Because magic, by
Right.
definition, is things that don't exist, or that something like that. But that's all I'm saying. So I
Man.
think that there is a degree of like, wouldn't we then be demystifying?
Right. No, I don't know. Man, I feel like we kind of picked the wrong day to get into this topic since we have kind of a hard end for the show
Yeah,
today. But yeah, this is actually really fascinating. We'll have to put a pin in this sort of broad idea, maybe to come back to like in a different episode or more thoroughly. But no, this is actually a lot more interesting than I originally thought the story was going to
yeah.
be.
No, we'll be sure to come back to it. Um, Yeah. Well, I've got another report for you guys, and this is coming from MSN via the Daily Mail, which I know is kind of a shit source, but what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
And this is reports coming in from the Indian police. Now we've reported on a few UFO stories from India in the
Right.
past couple of months.
Hmm.
And this is police reporting that UFOs have been flying over nuclear plants, quote, every few days. So
Mm,
again, this is from MSN
okay.
via the Daily Mail. Senior law
Hmm.
enforcement in India investigated and videotaped eerie UFO sightings over nuclear plants across the Asian nation last year, a local news report revealed. One
Mm,
witness, a police sub inspector and engineer by training, said he was, quote, 100% sure the object he taped, with its high speed, quote, zigzag movements, could not be
hmm.
explained by human tech. These have been described as
Mm,
nuke curious mystery objects. And of course, that's kind of in line with the attention that we've
mm.
seen to it in the US. India, of course, is
Right.
a major nuclear power, just like we
Uh-huh.
are. And I know that they don't
Right.
get included. I know, like, people talk about the US and China and, maybe Saudi Arabia, but people don't talk about India as often being in that same category of major nuclear powers, but they are.
Right. Right. I think because maybe the perception is that they're they're less likely to be they're not seen as much of a threat in the same way that maybe China
But their government is fucking
is.
insane. I know we don't talk
No,
about
no, no, no.
politics on this show,
Right.
but
I'm
like,
not. I'm just saying that might be why people
yeah, there
don't
are a
really.
billion
I'm not
people
saying they're
and their government
right.
is fucking
Like,
insane. Holy shit.
I'm
All right,
not.
we don't
Yeah,
need
I'm
to get
not
into
saying
this
it's
right now.
right.
All right. I'm going to take a break from Indian politics and get back to the UFOs.
Oh, okay.
Uh, this is Police Sub Inspector Syed Abdul Kader. He was
Mm,
assigned to the technical wing of the service's Tirunelveli office, which is an
mhm,
hour's drive north of the Kundakulam nuclear power plant. And he
mhm,
told UFO expert Sabir Hussain that he filmed two videos of unusual airborne phenomena. The way it stood
mhm.
still, this is a quote from him, the way it stood still, the way it made zigzag movements, and the speed in which it disappeared, all were different. So this was, seen as something that didn't appear to be any sort of military craft, keeping in
Mhm.
mind that this is something that, the
Right.
Indian government would be very aware of because obviously they have. I'm not an expert, but my understanding is the geopolitical situation between India and Pakistan is a little tense.
I that's my perception of it as well. Yes,
Yeah, like I think that it's a little like heated. People get
a
like
little
uptight
fraught.
about it.
Yeah,
I think they have a
a little
similar
fraught.
history with China. Not the same history, but kind of a similar history with China. Um so, that like in the sense of just having a fraught relationship with China historically. So like, they are very aware of any number of things that could be flying overhead, let alone the possibility that it could be us because we
Right.
like to do that shit. And
Right. 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 Mhm.
according to these reports, not the case.
Okay.
Um, and then Kader told DT Next that he had personally spotted UFOs near the southern coast town of Kundakulam since 2020. After meeting
Mm.
UFO
Mm.
tracker Sabir and discussing with him, he told the paper, I am more than 100% sure that what I saw were UFOs. His
Mm.
2023 sightings to the south overlapped with weeks of sightings in July and August up the eastern coast along the. All right, get ready for this.
Mhm.
Neelankarai Mahabalipuram shoreline.
Mhm. No. Oh, yeah. Good attempt.
Yeah. Now this.
B minus.
Thank you. Thank you. The Indian UFOs, they should ask me about advice on how to get around.
Mhm.
Just ask, hey
You're
sir, can you
right.
get to the nuclear power plant? And I'd be able to figure it out.
Right.
So that region is near the bustling city of Chennai and is home to
Uh
the
huh.
Madras Atomic Power Plant, aka MAPS,
Mm.
in Kalpakam. Uh,
Mhm.
he said that these happened just 10 days. The sightings that he videotaped happened just 10 days after the former director of General Police, Prateep V. Philip, took pictures of a UFO on the Mudakadu seashore near Chennai.
Okay. Hmm.
So, I mean, you have this long history. So you have this history, and then the article
Right.
then kind of just goes into some other stuff. Um, you know, UFOs specifically showing this level of fascination with these nuclear power plants is incredibly
Right.
interesting. And of course, when a country that is a nuclear power talks about nuclear power plants, including us, it's a question of if it's a
Mhm.
nuclear power plant or a nuclear weapons facility.
Right.
But either way,
Mhm.
it's something that is of interest, and this, of course, is in line with a lot of UFO stuff that's been around over the years, where they are interested in that sort of a thing, whether it's as weaponry, as an environmental help or hindrance, depending on how
Sure.
you view nuclear power, any number of
Sure.
things.
Well,
And it
or
also
maybe
goes
even.
back against this idea that it's all the rural U.S. too.
Mhm. Right. Right.
A real
Yeah.
smoking gun
Or
for you, Jason.
yeah. Boy, really painted me into a corner with this.
Call me
With
Salvador Dali.
my UFO denialism. Yeah, Salvador Dali, famously painting in quarters. Um, no, that is. I guess maybe my pushback would be, um, are they really seen more often over like nuclear facilities, or is it that the nuclear facilities are more monitored, so they would be more likely to get picked up there?
The reason why I do think, if you were to look at it across the general average, I do still
Mhm.
think you would probably say more often, and that there are other types of facilities that are also extremely monitored that you don't have frequent reports of UFO sightings. You have had some, for instance, in the late 1940s, there was a UFO sighting near the White House, for instance. But you don't have, hundreds and hundreds of UFO
Gotcha.
sightings near the White House. We don't have a lot of
Gotcha.
UFO sightings near, the residences of famous people. Um, which are also highly monitored by their own security people. By treasury buildings, you don't have a lot of UFO sightings near treasury buildings, things like that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. No, I take your point, but I think that might be a little different. Like the people that are monitoring, security around Oprah Winfrey's house, I don't think they're spending a lot of time looking at the skies.
No, you gotta look at the
Like
skies.
definitely
You think no
some,
one's
definitely
tried
no,
it?
no, yeah,
You think no
no,
one's
no,
tried
no,
fucking sky dropping in on Oprah? Are you
no. Oh,
fucking kidding me? Are you
I have no
fucking
doubt.
kidding? You would not be cut out. You would not last a
I,
goddamn day. You are
I,
not cut out to be her personal
I,
masseuse, sir.
I would not be surprised if that was currently occurring.
Oprah, if you're looking
if
for a
if it was
security
like a
incident,
constant occurrence that people were
Oprah,
were
the
skydiving
aliens are
into
after you.
Oprah's.
I'm not going to say even if you're looking for a security consultant. At this point, I am your security consultant. My bank details are 923.
No, no, no. No, that's cool. I apologize. Did it describe what it was? Did they describe what they were seeing or what they were
So,
picking
th-
up?
so the, the the article describes video that I actually haven't watched yet. But what he specifically describes is that they stay still for a bit, they go in a weird zigzag pattern, and disappear very quickly.
right, but the craft
The
itself
shape the
isn't
shape was not
described.
described. The shape was
Okay,
not described, and I
okay.
don't know if the video
No,
has
that's
actually
what I
been
was
released
curious
to the
about.
public.
Mhm.
Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. India, UFOs, nuclear plants. I know because we have been talking a lot about zigzag shape, or sorry, the
Mhm.
return of the classic flying saucer. Um,
Right,
these could
right.
be. It look so. I'm looking at a picture now. It looks like kind of your classic like glowing orb, but it looks like that could be
Okay,
from the underside of a saucer because if you look at the way the lighting kind of dissipates towards the top of the vehicle, so I do think it's conceivable that it is. This would also be a flying saucer shape. Although once again, how much we form the shape and versus they form the shape and stuff like that is an open question,
sure.
especially if you take a Fortean view. Um,
Nice.
but if,
Yeah. No, nice, yeah, tying it
yeah,
together.
but of course, like the whole idea that aliens are coming to warn about either nuclear war or just the present or like or the
Right,
environment and to talk
right,
about nuclear power either as something that's good to use or bad to use. It depends
right.
on how much you take care of the fucking plants.
Oh, so what you're saying is they're here to deliver a message based on
I'm saying that
our
in
nuclear
past accounts,
capabilities.
in past
Yeah.
accounts, nuclear issues are something that aliens have been interested in. Of course, like the uptick of UFO
Right,
sightings at the onset of the atomic age are a classic example of that. Right.
right, right. I guess to my mind, um, I just like I would have my mind goes to that they're here to sort of monitor, right? Like they don't necessarily have a message or trying to communicate, but they for whatever reason uh have been able to detect like our nuclear capabilities and maybe
Well,
see it as
they
some
could
sort
definitely
of like
monitor it.
yeah, they see it maybe as some sort of like technological benchmark or something where now oh
That's been that is a
they can
pretty
split
widely
the
held belief as
atom.
well. Yeah.
Right, right. As opposed to like cuz I feel like if they were here to tell us, you know, this is the wrong path or yay for you, we would probably have figured that out by now.
Yeah. So I've only read the
They could have
first
communicated.
I've only
Yeah.
read like the first book in the series, so or the first two books in the series, so I might just be totally off base about this. But I do think that in the Expanse series, one of the things that they talk about is that to get to even like high speed interspace travel, let alone even interstellar travel, that is essentially like a nuclear engine, right? You are literally looking at like an engine that once you get into space is splitting atoms just to generate enough power to go. So
Right. Right.
in that sense, like I would imagine it's pretty much impossible to I don't know, I'm not a fucking physicist. I'm saying I would imagine it's pretty much
No, no,
impossible
no,
to
that's
do
fine. Yeah,
interstellar
yeah.
travel without nukes. But what the fuck I'm basing that off of? I have a degree in communications and I
Right.
got a D in high school physics. So don't ask me about this
Right.
shit.
Right.
So I didn't even
No,
take high
no.
school physics. I took high school like I took science with the kids who were good at sports
It's just
once it
yeah,
came to junior
like
year.
right, like Science 101 or you made a paper mache volcano. Um,
I took a class in high
yeah.
school called discrete mathematics, which is funny that they called it that to be like, don't tell anyone you're in this math class because they will make fun of you.
Right. Oh. Um, no, yeah. Yeah, that's so interesting. I guess as a maybe more like prosaic explanation, um, maybe like maybe it's our concerns, our anxieties around like nuclear power or like our ability to do this that sort of informs what we read into
Oh, are you my
other
fucking
things, right?
therapist now?
Well, no,
Is this what
no,
we're
no.
fucking
I'll be
doing over here?
kind,
Oh, like,
maybe.
is the reason why you like to smoke weed until you get scared that you have an anxiety problem? Is that it?
Right.
Like,
Right. Right. Well, just that, like, this is kind of a, like, I mean, uh, this nuclear shit. I don't know. Is it fusion? Fission.
fission,
No, no, it's
fission.
fission. Fission is what,
Fusion's
yeah.
a different
Because
thing.
fusion, right. Fusion is the one that Yeah, fusion is like pushing them. Yeah, fission because we split the atom. Uh, no, nuclear fission's been around for what, 80 years? Like it's still
Sounds right.
relatively
I watched
recent.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah. So we would imagine it in like science fiction, right? Of course, that
Mhm.
would be the next, like, that's how, or that's like a step in technology because to us, that's kind of the next step now, or like
Well,
a,
but also like we can't imagine doing anything without the technology we have. Because I think about this a lot with the internet
yes,
too, where
right,
I
right.
imagine that every alien species, right, would have to
Uh-huh.
have some a billion times more sophisticated version of the internet, right? They would just need to have a communication network like that in order to get there. But I'm also basing that
Right.
off of the fact that I can't imagine a societal project being done without internet because
Mhm.
I was born in 1995, so there has been some form of internet my entire life. Like,
Right.
and I'm almost even like, and I'm almost 30,
Mm.
right? So I'm not like a baby anymore. But
Right.
like, my entire life, there's some form of internet, as
Yeah,
opposed to like, we
yeah.
split the atom, we got to the moon on phone calls.
Yeah, but even then, like, honestly, I would argue, I was born in 1974. I would argue that most of my life there was some version of the internet, not for necessarily for everybody, but there was definitely like information networks accessible to like an ever expanding pool of people. Is
Right.
that am I making any like
Yeah.
originally it
I
was
see what you're
like
saying.
scientists, like researchers, then it,
Yeah,
became
because I mean, even
engineers
in
and
even in the
right.
'60s, there was technically like quote unquote internet, but it was like just a connection between the supercomputers at like a few Ivy League schools, and that would like right or whatever the original version was, and that was the internet, and then it was
Oh no,
computer geeks, and then when
yeah. No, that's true, but I'm specifically trying to glorify Gen X. So
no, for sure,
so
but I'm
no,
saying
no,
Gen
the
X has been part of
19
that.
the
Gen X
1960
is when it
stuff, no.
becomes something that like a version of normal people have. Because with Gen X, it's the
Right, right.
weirdest and richest normal people, either the weirdest and or
Yes.
the richest normal
Yes.
people. And then
Right, right.
by the time I'm a millennial, or like I'm like a young millennial, and by the time you
Okay.
get to millennials, like for us, it's just like I had I don't think there was ever a time without like some form of internet in my house. Like even when I was a baby, I think it was dial up and stuff. But like, I mean, my dad did a lot of his work online, and he's a very tech savvy
Uh-huh.
guy because he had a computer science
Yeah.
degree. My mom
Mhm.
also had a computer science degree, even though she like didn't as much. Even she kept up with it pretty well, like throughout her
Right.
life. So like,
Right.
I think that like there's just a degree to like but I can't imagine life without it. And what that gets back to, just to kind of keep us on topic, is
Yeah.
that I think that when you sort of take that approach,
Mhm.
where you can't picture any achievement happening without the internet, without this technology, it becomes really hard to picture alien
Mhm.
technology as notably different from your own and picture your own technology as anything but the next step on a threshold.
Right. I think I understand what you're saying. Almost like it's a like it's a definite like preordained path. And
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm
so that
saying.
so that whatever the extraterrestrial, whatever technology they have currently is more advanced than ours in the sense that they also have our technology.
Right.
Like we were part of their chain, they're just further up the chain. Not that
Yeah.
they
Well,
were necessarily completely independent, like completely different technological advances. Like we can only yeah, I think I get what you're saying.
Yes, and the other thing about that, and now I have some people from my jujitsu gym who listen to this show who are physics people, so I can't stress enough that I don't know shit about physics, and neither do you. Um,
No,
but
actually,
the
I sorry, I just want to. I was a physics philosophy double major.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I ended
So,
up
so I'm sorry,
my
Jason. I don't mean to rub anything in, but you majored in physics, and we met. I'm sorry, we met working at the same call center job, and you have a physics degree, but we met at the
no
same call
no
center job.
no I so this isn't a biography of me. Uh,
No,
I
we're not
transferred.
giving that away for free.
No, no, that's come to my OnlyFans. Um,
I think you vastly misunderstand what that site is for.
I think you might be right because I feel like I learn a lot about people's anatomy, but like, where are you from?
Yeah,
What
yeah, it does. Yeah, it doesn't give you no.
what's your story?
Yeah. This is not a good. This is not a good way to get Mick Jagger's biography.
No, I ended up
Paul
transferring
McCartney should start an
colleges.
OnlyFans.
I ended up transferring colleges, so I did. I was double major for 3 years. Transferred colleges, which put me back. So I just graduated with a philosophy degree.
Yeah.
But I
Turns out when you go to a college that's not in Florida, the amount of time it goes
exactly
down.
right,
Like, it was one semester.
right. No, I was no, it was
I
completely.
had the equivalent of
It
one
was such
semesters of
right.
academic experience.
It was semester right. Yeah. Yes.
No, I shouldn't laugh that hard at my own joke, but man.
That was good. Um, no, and of course I don't know anything. I was just being like,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it's all
I was
about like
making
how
a
you things
joke, but
work.
yes,
Like
please.
the thing I'm saying about physics, and then we should take our short break, is
I
that
know.
it's all about what you use it for, which is that like splitting the atom. That could be nuclear
Right,
bombs, and that's a type of
that's
turning point
bad.
because we do
Uh-huh.
have the ability to unleash an apocalypse a lot quicker than we ever could,
Right.
in the exact radius that we want to, or it could
Hmm.
be building a new source of power. It's the same like
Hmm.
fundamental understanding of tech. The internet itself, right? Like the internet is just a communication network. What it's used
Right.
for, the
Hmm.
profit motive, the
Hmm.
availability. We could have the same level of streamlined internet tech now, even if it's only available to certain types of people, or if it's only used for certain types of purposes, more regulated or less regulated, or whatever.
Right.
So in all of
Right.
these things,
Uh-huh.
like I think it also becomes an exercise to envision difference as well. Is the other thing that I was
Right.
going to say.
Hmm.
Uh, before we
Yeah.
started talking about semesters. Anyway, guys, it's been a great show so far.
Ugh.
We're gonna take a quick break that you guys aren't gonna hear because we don't,
Nope. Yeah.
that's too
Right.
personal. That's too fucking
Right.
personal. You guys don't need to hear the sound and walk in on me and Jason fucking. Uh, and then we will be right
Which.
back. One thing that I do is now that Riverside gives me the transcript, I search edit a bunch of times.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
I search edit a bunch of times and I find all the spots where I say edit this out, edit this out, edit this out, and that like makes it so much easier to not leave shit in that's gonna get me in trouble. And yet I still do it a number of times. So at the end of the day, what does that say about me? Anyway,
it's, it's your commitment to comedy.
it is my commitment to comedy.
Yep.
That's exactly it. Anything that I do wrong on this show or in my
Mhm.
personal life is an
Mhm.
artistic choice.
I would say especially his personal life.
Exactly. And as you can tell by the fact that he's now saying his to refer to me, we are off of our break. We are back. Welcome to Underworld News Tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I, Jason, I've got some bad news, and we already talked about last week the fact that your dead grandma and my dead mom watch you smoke weed. My dead mom doesn't watch me
Uh-huh.
smoke weed. She couldn't handle it. She watches you smoke weed. Um,
Sure. Sure.
so
Probably with some helpful advice.
she's like, here's.
What are you doing?
Don't start a podcast with this kid. He has no follow through. You ever see his third grade homework? Well,
Sorry.
you'll have someone else to apologize to, Jason, because you know who else is watching?
Sure. Who?
According to The Bite, and this is an article by Noor Alcibai,
Mm.
Fringe Theory. People say that I have fringe theories, but I
Mm-hmm.
think they're normal theories. Claims
Mm-hmm.
that the sun may be conscious.
Oh, wow.
The article describes this as a bong rip of a theory, but that kind of brings my point because bong rips, they
Mm-hmm.
work, they're very efficient. So what you're saying is a
Mhm.
correct theory?
Oh,
Is that what
right.
you're saying? Are you saying factually? Because factually, scientifically, medically, when you smoke weed from a bong, it's totally good for you because the water filters out all the bad stuff.
Right.
It's the same reason why
I don't
fucking
know.
British psychopaths have convinced me to have like ended up tricking me into taking tobacco bong rips multiple times in my life. Different British
Ugh.
people have tricked me into doing
Ugh.
this several times. Not in several years though. Not since I was 23. So in a
I thought
fascinating
you were going
dive,
to say 12. I thought you
yeah,
were
man,
going to
that's
say
why I ended up
12.
so short.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
So this is a fascinating dive into the hypothesis, which adherents
Okay.
call panpsychism. This out there
Hmm.
concept has existed for thousands of years.
Hmm.
Originally in ancient Greece, and then it was later.
Hmm.
But the term panpsychism was coined in the 16th century by Italian
Hmm.
philosopher. And excuse me, I need to make sure I'm pronouncing this name right.
Hmm.
Francesco Patrese.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Though it enjoyed 19th century credibility when the psychology superstar William James publicly ascribed to it, the theory was veritably killed in the 1920s by the Vienna Circle. I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
early psychiatrist with Freud, right? When it's logical
Yeah.
positivism,
Yep.
the ideas that philosophical
Positivism. Yeah.
questions
Mm-hmm.
must have logical answers took hold of the philosophical world. That sounds like bullshit to
Well,
me because whose logic? Whose logic, Jason? My logic? Your logic?
well, okay. First of all, again, philosophy major.
Philosophize that.
Uh, that's really uh, short selling of logical positivism. But to your point, yes, whose logic, broadly speaking, is a criticism of logical positivism.
Do you see that? Do you see that, Jason?
Hmm.
You are have not a leg to stand on. Now,
No.
fast
Yep.
forward to the year
Yes.
when everybody was correct. The age of reason, 2004,
Yes. Right.
when
Age of reason. Yep. Hmm.
another
Here we go.
Italian, the
There it is.
neuroscientist and psychiatrist, excuse me, I just
Brace,
want to be culturally sensitive here,
brace yourself.
Giulio Toni.
Yeah. All
I'm
right.
sorry, I gotta say it again. I missed a syllable.
Oh,
Giulio
sure.
Tononi
Mm-hmm. All right.
proposed what he
Yeah.
called the integrated information theory of consciousness, which suggests that
Mm.
consciousness is essentially almost everywhere. By and by,
Hmm.
a sort of panpsychist renaissance began to take place, and in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
nearly
Hmm.
100 years after the Vienna Circle killed the
Yep.
feel-good theory, the
Uh-huh.
respected neuroscientist Christoph Koch argued in Scientific American that if lumps of matter can form into human bodies and become conscious, there's no reason that groups of elementary particles couldn't either.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and that now we're going to get
Mm-hmm.
into this article is very circuitous to get into this idea. So I apologize. I know we're jumping from point A to
Sure.
point B. I didn't write
Yeah.
this fucking thing.
No.
Uh,
It was what?
bio
What'd you say? Bite? It was from Bite?
The Bite via
The Bite.
Scientific American.
Oh, Vi.
Yeah,
Okay. All
but
right.
via is in there like summarizing with a bunch of other stuff. Uh,
Gotcha.
One of the
Gotcha.
most
Okay.
compelling instances of panpsychist thought came in
Mm-hmm.
2021 when biologist and
Mm-hmm.
author Rupert Sheldrake published a paper questioning whether the sun itself might be conscious. Consciousness does not need to be confined to brains, Sheldrake
Mm-hmm.
told Popular Mechanics in its news story. The link between minds and physical systems seem to be through rhythmic electromagnetic fields, which are of course present in our brains. They are also present
Mm-hmm.
in and around the sun, and these could be the interface between the solar mind and the body of the sun. Think about that, Jason. Don't
Hmm.
ask me to explain what it means, just think about it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Is there anything else?
No, the article just goes on to say
No.
it's a
Yeah.
fun
No.
idea.
Right.
Think about that.
No, it is.
Uh,
Yeah. Right. It is. I guess. I mean, I guess on some level that's true. right? Like you would have to, I guess, accept the belief that like humans are just matter, like with the same
Yes.
stuff as everything else. And if you believe that, then which I actually full disclosure, I believe that. Um, but yeah, then that it could be possible in other yeah, other
If the
things we may
sun
not recognize or in different ways, but yeah.
if the sun is
Hmm.
conscious,
Uh-huh.
I have to ask it to listen to the show. We gotta fucking get ourselves up there, man.
That would be that would be yes. I imagine the sun would carry a lot of cloud.
How do you think we get NASA to make the headphones?
Shit. I don't know, man. The sun's like scary big.
Because we'll know where the
It's
ears are because we use the
like it's
Teletubby
right.
baby as a model, right? Use the Teletubby baby as a scale model to figure out where the ears are, so we know where to put the headphones. We just need
That is
NASA
that
to fucking pay for it.
that's no, that's fucking brilliant. Yes, the Teletubby baby is a perfect analogy to the sun.
If you're not familiar, because I realized you were like 23 when Teletubbies came out. The Teletubby baby was a baby in the sun. Like there was
No,
the face of a
yes.
baby. Okay,
No, thank you.
why were you
Yes.
watching Teletubbies in your 20s, you pervert?
Um I had just discovered weed.
Okay, that's fair,
And so I watched a lot of I watched a lot of
man.
things. Um no, that's yeah. Does it did they say like why the sun specifically?
I
Cuz
no, they do not. I think they're just
cuz
naming a list of things, and then he's like, the sun isn't
that
that
the
crazy.
sun could be. Yeah.
I think part of it is that like there's more electromagnetic reactions happening with the sun than there
Right.
are with like I don't know, this fucking pen.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It is something to think about. I don't know if so I feel like there's been a lot of people have taken uh otherwise pretty like sound and accepted scientific ideas and then maybe push them a
Yeah,
little further than what they should be. For example, like quantum theory, that's an explanation for everything to some people.
right.
When it's explains like one very specific what
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
certain like um so I would think that again, if you took this view, the basis would be like chemical reactions, not necessarily electromagnetism. Does that mean like that seems a few levels removed from the
Let me make sure
explanation
that I'm
or
reading
from
this right,
the
Jason.
basic?
Once you get to the actual
No,
science of
I'm not.
fucking,
No,
he says rhythmic electromagnetic fields because those are also present in our brain.
yes, they are. I guess. Yeah.
Rhythmic electromagnetic fields. So if you're
Got
you
okay.
want to so if you're a white guy, the sound of your rhythmic electromagnetic field goes, "Never made it as a wise man."
Uh huh. Uh huh. Yeah, that's eerie. Actually, how right you were with that. Um. Yeah. What? How? That's almost scary to think about.
It is. It
Like,
is. It's
what if the
definitely
sun was conscious? Like, what's it doing?
well. It's if it's
What?
conscious, it sucks because it can't move. It doesn't change the fact that it doesn't have
Right.
like a body, so it's not like, oh, I'm conscious. I'm gonna like go over there. It's like I'm conscious. Guess I'll just sit here more.
No, exactly. Like, what sort of hell existence would that be?
Well, if it's all
To
you
be
ever
the
know.
to be conscious that you're the sun? Like, are they
It's a
just
lot. It's
proud?
a lot
I'm the
like the. It's a
sun.
lot like the weight that lies on our shoulders is the 12th most popular comedy podcasters of Algeria.
No, since you put it that way, actually, does yeah clears a lot of things up for me. Um, yeah, no, that's wild.
It is indeed, Jason. Why don't you close us out? Because my mind is too fucking blown.
Our final story is from phys.org. Phys, F, F. I already fucked it up. PHYS is in physics.org.
All right.
The Unexplained. Giant Swedish archive logs paranormal phenomenon.
Ooh.
So what the story is about, there is a within Sweden exists the Archives of the Unexplained. Excuse me, Archives for the Unexplained, AFU. It's the world's largest library of paranormal phenomena with 4.2 kilometers. For those of us that use the real system of measurement, 2.6 miles of shelves running underground.
But how many books are on the shelves? Because you'd have a lot of empty shelves.
That's
it's just
true.
Weird to say footage of furniture as like the
right.
size
They
of
just
your
like
archives.
right. Yeah.
Like I could buy a
Let me
bunch
see
of
if
bookshelves
it
for the
has a
most
number of
well-read
books.
person on the fucking earth.
I don't know if it gives me a specific number. Yeah, there's not a specific number of books, but it does say like it collects newspaper clippings, books, first-hand accounts, the pretty much every type of media. So it I could see it swelling quite a bit. Especially,
especially
like as the world's largest. Like I didn't know there was any archive for this, to be honest. I mean, beyond you know, internet bullshit, or like I didn't know that this was some like serious undertaking by somebody.
Right.
And actually those somebodies, Klaus Svan and Anders Lidgren, run the archive located in the southeastern town of Norping. They are neither superstitious nor believers, but rather curious investigators of the unknown.
That's fun.
I do. I like that a lot. No, I do like that. I think that's how I would describe myself. Actually,
well, yeah. I mean, you'll describe yourself as whatever the fucking CIA pays you to describe yourself as. They come on here and they're like, "Oh, these UFOs are bullshit. What if it's just that we're anxious about nukes in India or whatever the fuck it is if we care about nukes in India?"
I would maybe to the curious investigator of the unknown add, I don't know, ruggedly handsome, or
tried to assassinate Castro 14 times.
Intensely brilliant.
Driver's license suspended.
That's now you're getting personal. Banned from 7-Eleven.
And 8-Eleven.
Right. That was actually the hard one. They've been at it for more than 50 years. Yeah, it's composed of books, original documents, photos, tape recordings. Let's see here.
Dick pics? Do we have? Is there a picture of a ghost penis? Can I see a picture of I mean, I don't know why I'm asking, but like, can I see Bloody Mary's tits?
I have a feeling like that's almost a certainty.
Yeah, because that's really like
definitely out there somewhere.
This
article, it doesn't provide it, but
what's the fucking point? Journalism is dead.
Right, its own wing. Yes, the Bloody Mary's tits wing of the what I call it, the archive for the Unexplained. They were ample. Yeah. Who do you think would underwrite that? Like who would be the benefactor?
Man, who'd be the funniest benefactor for that? That's a good question. Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter. Yes, thank you. The Jimmy Carter wing of
Jimmy Carter House of Bloody Mary's tits in Sweden.
Tits wing. Yeah. Man.
Oh man.
um, a dude article goes on to talk about the experience, give an anecdote from a professor of history and bioethics at Pennsylvania State University, who went and visited the archive for a book on the history of UFOs.
We're getting into bioethics. That does, confirm the Bloody Mary's tits theory, because he has to decide if it was ethical for them to be that big and firm.
Right. Um, yeah, so this dude vouches for it. He's quoted as saying, "I've worked in countless archives in Europe, the United States, and the UK, both Europe and the UK." Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Uh, my time at the AFU was easily the most fascinating and most productive. The AFU is without question the most comprehensive archive for materials involving the global history of the UFO phenomenon in the world.
Interesting. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you say. I mean, Sweden does kind of have a history with it too, because during World War II, a lot of the Swedish military did spend a lot of time on. They were using the term ghost rockets to describe a lot of this stuff. So it is something that was taken very seriously, for sure. Like in that
Yeah.
country specifically.
Uh-huh. Well, it goes on to mention that that the AFU, I guess one of the prize documents, uh, it's from the former Soviet Union, and there's only like a couple copies of this journal in the world. Uh, yeah, it's one of the most rare things we have. There's sketches of UFOs, work from underground UFO. Yeah, typed up clandestinely in seven days. Yeah. Um, there's the AFU has a connection to Victor Hugo, who did some research, I guess. Listen, I should have read this beforehand. Oh, it's excuse me, yeah, from the writer Victor Hugo, where he had, I guess this was a surprise to people that he was seeing, like, had visions of like his dead daughter throughout his life, and he wrote extensively about that.
Man. And this is just a great thing that would have been lost to history had therapy been invented.
Exactly. Yep. Um, yeah. No, this sounds like pretty incredible. I guess the thrust of the article is that, like, it's Swedish. Um, so in a lot of the, I guess, like, major geopolitical divisions throughout history, they were kind of in the middle, and so we're able to collect in a unique position to collect a lot of information
Right.
between countries
Are
that
you thinking about
otherwise don't
Switzerland? I
speak
think
to
you're thinking
each
about
other.
Switzerland.
No. Switzerland's different, but Sweden, like they had no part in the Vietnam War, right?
Well, most countries. I mean, you mean the Cold War as a whole?
No, like specific, like what since World War II, like what position has Sweden been?
Well, I mean, they're a
like
major
what
part
a
of
player
NATO.
on the
Like they're a
major
major part of
stage.
NATO. Like they're a founding part
Right,
of
right,
like the
right.
great.
Yeah,
Wait, are they in NATO? They might
right.
not be in NATO. Is Sweden in NATO? Fuck, shows how much we know about this shit. Anytime I actually mention a real issue
Well,
on this
right. No,
episode, then I screw
yeah, like
myself.
during the Cold War, yes, of course they weren't part of the Soviet Union, but I don't think they were particularly,
Yeah, and
like,
Sweden just
seen as
joined
being
NATO
on
this
our
month.
side.
They
Right,
just
they
joined
weren't.
NATO this month, so they have been deliberately neutral
Right,
for a very long
right,
time, and this is like
right.
extenuating circumstances with Ukraine.
Exactly. Yeah, so so they have access to a lot of information. Yeah, from, like, it the US doesn't know what the former Soviet Union, thought about Yetis.
Well, as
But
far
but
as we know.
but this place but Sweden, not really being a part of that conflict, was able to collect that information from both. So that's, I think, why the archive is so extensive, is that it was able to draw from it was sort of beyond the like geopolitical
Right.
considerations of like the last 50 years, right?
No, I see what you're saying.
So yeah, so they had access to information, from a lot of different parties. And that's what's, I think, fascinating about,
Well,
aside
and I
from
think
its
especially
scope, but
now,
like
and
this
like,
archive. Yeah, yes, yeah.
yeah, no, I think it's incredibly interesting. I think will definitely be interesting to see sort of what people look into and find through there. Uh, will be really good. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, thank you so
No,
much for sharing that.
yeah, it's appointment only, about 300 visits a year.
Oh,
They
appointment
are
only
being
to fucking keep us out.
exactly. They
300
are in the
visits a
pro
year and it's appointment only. That's less than one person a fucking day. It's
I
fucking
know.
Europeans with their vacations.
No. Good for them. But it is being digitized. So there might be a way at some point, we'd be able to access.
Yeah, well, based on their ability to see point 0.8 people a day, I don't anticipate that being done very quickly.
I don't know. No, that's like I said, I had no idea there was like such an extensive collection of this stuff.
Right.
Like it's yeah, that's just like fascinating. I don't know. It, I would hope. Yeah, I would visit if they would let me. But yeah, as you say, they take what, point 0.8 people a day. So
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know
think I'm
how
ever
easy
getting
that's
in.
going to
But
be.
yeah, but
But
I guess that's just one of those things that like I'm happy to know it exists.
you know what else I'm happy exists?
Hmm.
This show.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, what would these listeners do? What would they do with their
Right.
time once a week
Mm.
for 1 to 2 hours, depending on how much time we have? Would
Mm.
they,
Good.
find something fulfilling? Would they talk to their families? Would they,
Learn a skill.
find love, learn a skill, language, learn about the world, learn
Mm-hmm.
facts, do research, broaden their cultural horizons, travel? Or would they just long for
Yeah.
I think they'd long for us mostly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they don't need
Well,
to because
and
we're here. And if
more
they
importantly, I don't know what I would do if with this time.
That's true because you just go in your
Just
cage when this is over, and then
mhm,
we let you out
right,
once a week to do the
right.
show. So you'd just be stuck there,
Just
and we'd
uh-huh.
eventually forget to give you food and water if that was the case, because there wouldn't be a business line
Right.
item, so it
Mhm.
wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, you guys can keep up with the show by following us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Underworld News Tonight. On Instagram and TikTok, it's going to be one word. Everywhere else, that's going to be multiple words. And that's where you're going to be able to find clips from the show, links to our full
Mhm.
episodes, little updates. We also, the full episode, the RSS also updates on YouTube as well. So if you like our clips on YouTube
Mhm.
and you listen on YouTube, you kind
Mhm.
of can get both through there.
Mhm.
And then you can also
Yep.
follow both of us on social media for our different little
Mhm.
things. I do my little
Mhm.
comedy videos, both for my stand up and for me just kind of making little jokes and jests throughout the
Mhm.
day. And you can find
Mhm.
those TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Andrew Michaels Comedy. Jason,
Mhm.
what are you doing online? Where can people find it?
Instagram, Jason V Strong.
That's right. And I know this might have been a stressful episode because you might think,
Mhm.
Invisible Goblins are going to kill my
Right.
family,
Mhm.
and aliens are trying to steal nukes from India, and all of that would be
Right.
fine if the sun wasn't watching me masturbate. But
Right. And there's a record of it. There, there's microfiche of it all, I
there's
guess, in a
microfiche of it in Sweden.
basement in Sweden somewhere.
But you don't need to worry about that because those times the sun is watching you masturbate, they're still happening because it's all phantom time. But right now.